Hey y'all, this is Nathan Garrett here with my new YouTube channel that I'm starting up. I'm gonna title it Garrett Racing Team's Racing Blog. I'm gonna do all kind of different automotive stuff that deals with the race car. I've got a Project Camaro that we're working on and some other stuff. I got some friends that have different automotive hobbies and sports cars and high performance vehicles and just all kind of neat things such as that. I just want to take you along this journey, kind of tell you my story, how we're getting this thing going, and see how we kind of progress through this thing, going to the racetrack, doing test days, maintenance, anything that you can think of to get this car to the racetrack and to hopefully get it in victory lane. It's a long process, a long journey with this deal, a lot of hard work, but it sure is fun when we get done at the end of the night, had a good run, and everything works out like it should. Also, make sure you hit that like button. All the likes I can get really helps my channel, helps it grow, spreads the word of what we've got going on. Subscribe to my channel. The more people I get subscribed, the more content that you'll get brought up to you to watch that basically notifies you that I got new stuff coming out. We're going to try to do one video a week for this deal to start with. Also, we're going to do some online sim racing one night a week as well, so it'll be like basically 2 videos. That's going to be live streamed on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all those neat social media platforms. You can also find us on Instagram as well. So anything you can do to help us out, I really would appreciate it. Just hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and share it to as many people as you can. It could really help this race car right here get faster, because spreading the word could help us with our sponsors and that type of thing. And right now we don't have that many, but it's working out. We're able to pay the bills and go to the racetrack. So having fun with it, and just want to take y'all along for this ride. So let's get on in here and I can explain a few things that we got going on. Alright, so you may wonder what kind of race car that we actually run here at Garrett Racing, and basically what it is an open-wheeled modified that they call it. It's ran mainly in the Northeast, a lot, New York area, but we do have a big following for these things out in Winston-Salem, North Carolina at Bowman Gray Stadium. I do not race at Bowman Gray Stadium. We have another local track, A Speedway, that we run at. That does really good for us, for our budget, everything that we can afford to do. And the track's a little bit more it's larger track, higher speeds, and you don't have as much beating and banging as you do at Bowman Gray Stadium. But to kind of go over what we have here, it's a Troyer open wheel modified. The chassis style is from like the 2008 year model. The cars haven't really changed all that much over the years. It more or less have stayed the same, I would say, since probably the 80s. Now they have completely, you know, from as time goes on, they do better stuff with your shocks, your suspensions, new designs on all that, but the overall design of the car itself hasn't really changed much in the last 30 years, I would say. This is the oldest series of racing in NASCAR. The modifieds were the premier deal back in like the 40s. This is before the full-blown stock car racing was taken off. So this is basically down roots the original type of NASCAR that was running years and years ago when everything first started, before the full fender, which you would call a Cups car, it runs today. Now NASCAR does still sanction these cars. They run them at different tracks such as Bristol. We run it. They would run them at Martinsville. Let's see, Richmond, New Hampshire, different places like that the Cup cars run on as well. So they do run at the tracks that the Cup cars run on, but they're more of a local deal that local guys run for the most part. So anyway, to kind of go over some specs on these cars to give you an idea of horsepower and the weight and all that type of stuff. They weigh 2,650 pounds with the driver at the end of the race. The horsepower at the rear wheels can range from 400 to 450, depending on who you have for what you've got in your engine and what you've spent and everything. So it's pretty good power to weight ratio. We run a 10-inch wide racing slick from Hoosier. The professional guys actually run a 15-inch wide one. So they get a whole lot more grip and hookup for these cars, but they also run about 600 horsepower as well. So it's a big difference in power, but they get more tire hookups that are really fast. But other than that, we race at Ace Speedway near Burlington, North Carolina. We're gonna probably try and run some different places this coming season, maybe Caraway. Franklin County, I heard, is starting a new series up. And we're thinking about going with 602 crate engine, which is basically a 602 serial number engine that comes from GM Chevrolet. That's a 350, and it has about 3 to 350 horsepower. So it's a little bit less horsepower, but a little bit cheaper, and a lot more tracks are running those now. So we got to keep an eye out to maybe find one of those here in the next few months. All right, I'm gonna get you under the hood on this car to kind of go over the engine package that we run, why we run what we run, and why the track that we run at does that type of deal. So basically, looking at the car, got the hood off. It's a 350 Chevrolet small block that you would see in mainly old series pickup trucks and stuff like that. 4-bolt main so they can withstand the RPMs that we run on these things. We turn about 7,500 RPM by the time we let off at the end of the straightaway, so they have to hold up pretty good. Chevrolet bow tie heads. Let's see, we've got the intakes and stuff. They're specified in the rule book that we can only run a certain style, and the headers and everything are specifically built for this car, mainly to fit the chassis. And per the rule book, they have to be mild steel. We're not allowed, at least in this series, to run stainless. You go up to the more professional stuff like the Whelen Modified Tour on the NASCAR circuit, they can run all kind of nice stuff like that, but it costs a lot more to run them. Anyways, we got a 390 full barrel carburetor. We'll take this off to kind of give you an idea what it looks like. 390 full barrel. I got a guy out of, he's right below Winston. His name's William Baldwin, does some awesome carburetor work. Actually gonna have to get him to do some more work for me here soon. I need to get another carburetor for another engine we may try for next year. But as you can see, there's his contact information. Baldwin Performance Carburetors, does good work. Be hitting him up here pretty soon, because I know wintertime it gets really busy for stuff for starting in the spring. We've got an MSD ignition, all that stuff that helps provide fire and stuff to the motor. We run power steering on these cars, but it does have a rack and pinion. I don't know if you can see that down in there. We don't run any of the old style Pitman arms and all that type of stuff. It's just a straight rack and pinion with a steering shaft driving it, with our tie rods going over to our wheels and tires. Have a double A-arm style front suspension. The rear suspension is more of, it's just a solid axle, one axle all the way across. We run a 3-link on this car. So a 3-link means we have 2 links right here that basically run from each side on each side of the car that helps supports it that way. Then a 3rd link that goes over the top of the rear end housing. And then we have basically what I call a panhard bar that runs a short, on these cars, it's a short left-hand side mount down right here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but anyways, that's what keeps the rear end in the car. So if you want to kind of see what's going on, we've got window nets, just like the every other stock car that you would see. This helps protect the driver. You put this down, full containment seat, wraps around the driver's head. Keeps you safe if a car flips, gets any hard impacts. It keeps your head from going from side to side. Full collapsible steering wheel from Woodward. You can actually quick connect, take the steering wheel off. Spline shaft, 4-speed transmission, Muncie 4-speed. Now they do have some higher end stuff that you can run in some different series, but again, for what we do, it's what we're allowed to run. You can also run a 3-speed, but for our gear ratios and better restarts, we run the 4. Other than that, as you can see, we've got our full roll cage around us, all of our gauges. We have a oil pressure gauge, water temp gauge, oil temp gauge. This is my brake bias. I basically can keep track of my pressures for the front and rear. Tachometer with a recall, so we know how much we're running in terms of RPMs for gearing, gear ratios, and our fire extinguisher. Hopefully we will never have to use that. Other than that, that's basically what the car is. Another key point for the rear end, if you're interested, we run what we call a quick change. If you see this gold plated bolts on the outside, those roll bolts and those gold plated plates on the back, I can pop that off, the plate off the back, by taking those bolts off. There are 2 gears in there, basically straight in where those 2 gold plates would be. You pop those out to pop 2 new gear sets in. You can change your gear ratio within 5 to 10 minutes, as long as you can get oil back in there and not being really hot from going around the track. So really quick to change gear ratios. depending on what track you're running. We also run a fuel cell in the car. This one I believe is a 12-gallon. Since we don't run but 40-lap features, we don't really need those large 22-gallon ones. We were running some bigger series stuff, we obviously could do that. But other than that, it's an awesome thing to get into. I love doing it. Something I've always done. Raced go-kart since I was a child. Love doing this stuff. If I could do this for a living and have enough money to live, this is what I would do. So I could stay out here for hours and hours and hours and work. All right, y'all. That's gonna do it for my very first YouTube video. So let me know what you think. I've got a comment section below. Leave any questions, concerns, anything you may have you want to see on future videos that I didn't answer in this very first one, because I'm gonna have to have content to put out there. So anything that you may want to, you're interested in, leave it below. I'll get back to it. I'll reply on there and start making a list of some stuff that we're going to make videos on. So if you would do that for me, it would really help me out. Also, you may be wondering why I didn't actually start the car and let it run some for this very first introduction. I had plans to do so, but had a starter actually go out on this thing. So I don't want to tear up anything worse than it already is. So I'm going to get a new starter, going to have that put on, going to actually make a video on that of pulling the starter off, putting a new one on, firing the car, and then you can actually hear it run. So that'll be a good informational maintenance thing that I'm going to do as part of my future video list that's going to be coming out. So I hope you enjoyed it, and before we get out of here, I want to kind of go over a few people that have helped me, not only financially, but come and actually go to the track with me, help me at the shop, and that type of thing. So very first business, Garrett Logan, it's my dad's business. He's been with me since the very beginning with my go-kart racing, and allows me to keep my car here at his shop, and I can do all my work and maintenance and keep it out of the weather and that type of thing. So he's been a really good help with that. Moore's Transmissions, John Moore out of Reedsville, North Carolina. He actually done all the work on my Muncie's 4-speed here. Does all my work on all my transmissions. Really good guy. Really helps me out on that type of stuff. Very good business. So if you have a transmission, not only for race cars, but your standard daily driver, he does that type of work. Also, William Chilton and Melvin Chilton out of Eden, North Carolina. They run a body shop, Chilton's Body Shop. So any of the painting that you've seen on here, they have done. Really good business. They do collisions, auto repair, and also restorations. And also William Chilton, he actually runs a sign shop as well. So any of the decals that you see on here, he's provided. And also he does t-shirts, vinyl graphics, that type of thing. So basically a sign shop for advertisements. So really good on that end. Can't forget my wife. She's always there helping me going to the track. She's actually at the house right now. Thank you, baby. Helping look after our newest daughter. So thank you for doing that. So I can come out here and do this. Really, really helps me continue to do what I love to do on this race car. Also, I have David Holland, a real good friend of mine. He comes to the track with us, comes to the shop, and helps us on that end. My tire guy, Teddy Burris. Some of y'all may know him. Go-Kart legend. Really awesome guy. Knows his stuff on anything to do with tires and racing in general. I'm going to have him on some of these videos for sure to kind of talk about some stuff. And then also can't forget my good buddy Jamie Tomeno, awesome modified legend, been racing forever, and helps me with parts, setup advice, and anything like that. Has been really, really helpful on that end. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this deal. If you would, again, like this thing, share it, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And, we're going to take you on this journey. I hope you enjoy it. All right, y'all. See you next time. Thank you.